Okay, we are burning the midnight oil and then some. 3rd of May 2026, and it is day 2099 since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room there on Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, for being a whistleblower. And they took him downstairs to the basement room to take his life and to steal his body and traffic it, to desecrate it, and to traffic his body to Mexico, right over the border, uh, for disposal, to hide it. And so here we are. And today is a good day to play again this little song.
Oh yeah, James Montoya, Mr. Big Lies. You hid your name to capitalize. Oh yeah, Montoya, a fraud from the start. Fake notary seal and tampered chart. Sold your oath for cartel gold. Now El Paso knows the lies you told. You're a fake, a fraud, a liar in a suit, and the ghost of Richard Halliday's coming for you. You see, he didn't just run for office. He ran a con. He didn't just drop a name. He dropped the truth. He needed a Mexican name, Montoya for the vote. His campaign promise was fake too. Death for Crusius, that's the vow he told you. But a plea deal was made with his hand. He's a liar at the cartel's command. You're a fake and a fraud, serving the FTOs, trafficking lies across border roads. James Montoya, liar in a suit, and the ghost of Richard Halliday's coming for you. Oh yeah, Montoya, got ears like satellite dishes but still can't hear the people screaming fake loud and clear. This ain't politics, this is a cartel network. This is an FDO. Ya basta, the people see clear. Your eyes saw the big gig, not the victim's tears. Justice for Richard Halliday. Fight, 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 fight. Expose this fake DA hiding in plain sight. Oh yeah, Montoya filled now with a 2028 date. Ni madre sin. It's a system rot from the cartel within. Fraudulent forms, fake notary applied. He's illegally sitting, should be indicted, tried. You can't fight for the slain with a DA this fake. They're laundering justice for the cartel's sake. The truth's in the timestamps, the crime's in the redactions. And if the DA's the problem, then the solution, federal action. Esto no se queda así.
Because I was the hunted, and now I'm the hunter. It's a big difference. Big difference.
Okay, I mean, we have learned so much since we made that video, and that video just really, that music just captured so much truth. And of course, it said it had to be a cartel, right? It had to be a cartel. It had to be a very large cartel, and the cartel had to be in El Paso. And so I've been posting up for just a few days, maybe a little bit longer than that, about the El Paso cartel, because we have it now. We have the evidence, the hard evidence that absolutely confirms there's an El Paso cartel. And that El Paso cartel, of course, a key member of it is Alejandra de la Vega Foster, the wife of Paul Foster, who owns West Star Refinery, which is really important about all of this because of her own ownership of convenience stores and controlling cartel in Mexico as well as there in El Paso and beyond that and beyond that. So, and I'm going to try to explain it to everybody as well as we have learned it in the investigation uh, into the murder of our son and the cover up of it and why they went after him, why they went after him before and during the death and after it, stealing his body, desecrating it, and then how they got the Fort Bliss command structure, how they got the judicial and the law enforcement, how they got the politicians to absolutely be complicit, and how they got the media to be complicit with the murder of our son and the cover up of it. A U.S. Army whistleblower soldier there at Fort Bliss. Um, and, and not only, yeah, complicit because of the smear campaign, because of the harassment, the threats, um, the huge government um, institutional manipulation. And it became very, very clear and corroborated with the recent deaths of the CIA agents in Chihuahua, Mexico. So that really was a huge missing piece of the puzzle that I mean we had enough all along, but with every missing piece, it really clarifies and strengthens what was really happening reality, because this group operates in deception, absolute deception. That is, they are just children of the devil. I mean, that's the only way you can describe them, because I don't eat they are so intertwined with their own deceptions. I don't think they even realize what reality is. I don't think they even know it. They're just so deceived and into deceiving others and deceiving entire populations that they have to live those lies that they know are lies. And I can't even imagine what that does to their psychology. It makes them very, very evil. It makes them very evil and very violent. And so they can traffic children, they can sexually exploit children, they can sell fentanyl and meth and very dangerous drugs into the population. They can uh, sell these weapons and steal the fuel and make people's lives totally miserable, absolutely miserable, because they're living their deception, and it makes them very cruel, very evil. Um, and this group, because they, want to get on the Forbes. It's to see Paul Foster brag about how his wealth has increased so much, because it just wasn't enough, right? A billion is not enough. It has to be more than billions, right? It has to be taking over the entire cartel network of Mexico. And one thing that we have learned through this whole thing, and President Trump and his administration has corroborated that also, is that, um, and thank you, Laura, for coming on so late, is that Mexico has totally become a narco state. And what is in the news right now is just incredible. A lot of good news. So, but I want to stick with that. Um, President Trump absolutely corroborated that Mexico was being ruled by the cartels, was being absolutely manipulated by the cartels, terrorized by the cartels, and controlling the economy. Okay, because of course, when you control the hotels, the gambling casinos, the timeshares, the fuel, the gas stations, the convenience stores, and you can go on and on and on, the businesses. And if you weren't, paying up to the cartel, your business had no chance. You had the restaurants and everything. And, I can absolutely corroborate the descent of Mexico into the hands of the cartel, because when I was a girl, living, of course, I was born at White Sands Missile Range. I lived in El Paso, went to school in El Paso. And during those times, in the 60s and 70s, um, and I'm thinking of, yeah, till 1979, we would go over to Juarez all the time, all the time. We loved it. We absolutely, that's the blessing of living on a border, um, with countries. Of course, my mother was born in Pirmasens, Germany, which is right on the French border. It's in Germany, but it's right on the French border. And we loved it because you could go over to France and get the beautiful culture of France, and go over to Germany and get the beautiful culture of Germany. And the same thing, you get the beautiful culture of Texas, and you go over to Mexico, you get the beautiful culture of Mexico. It's really a blessing to live on a border. But when it's put in the hands of terroristic criminals, terroristic criminal organizations, they make your life hell and they take all the beauty away. I remember watching all the little glass blowing animals, all the wonderful foods, all the wonderful music. Of course, buying big sombreros with my oma for my uncle in Germany as a gift. With some tequila, and going over to Texas and having all the beautiful culture of Texas, the West, and loving it, loving going out and horseback riding, going up to Cloudcroft, and having to secure everything at night because of the bears, but loving that cool air. Just and then they come in, and Cloudcroft, what is Cloudcroft today? What is Albuquerque today? What is Juarez today? What is El Paso today? It is infiltrated with cartel criminal organizations that make your life hell and has really damaged the economy. And what the El Paso cartel, what we have discovered, and if you're out, if you have information that's better than ours, please tell us. But what we have seen is the El Paso cartel getting the Mexican cartels under their thumb, the Juarez cartel under their thumb. We know that they have an agreement with them. And of course, the CJNG, the flesh peddlers, the flesh eaters, right? I mean, they're just the worst, vile and vulgar, with the organ harvesting, the baby harvesting, the black market adoptions, the flesh peddling, right? And we know that they are absolutely have the CJNG under their thumb. Okay, they they absolutely control that. They are the protection racket of it, and of course, They were the protection racket for the billionaires being able to get financial um, money laundering from Jeffrey Epstein. That was the major reason for Jeffrey Epstein being there at Zorro Ranch in our evidence. When you made all this money, billions and billions of dollars on all of this trafficking, and having the cartels under your thumb to do all the trafficking and evil killing and kidnapping and everything. Uh, wow. Then what are you going to do with all this money? You need someone that is a financial manipulator, and that was Jeffrey Epstein. And in order to compromise those that wanted that kind of financial manipulating, they were compromised with the trafficking, with the child sexual exploitation trafficking, with the drugs, with and also with these schemes. Of course, the Powerball scheme, the lottery scheme, um, and you know. All of that, and they needed a protection racket, right? So anybody that was a whistleblower would be silenced, would be a team would go after them, to harass them, to threaten them, to follow them, to hound them. And that became, of course, that included the media. The media then was controlled by, and is controlled by, the El Paso Cartel, Texas Tribune, El Paso Matters, all of those local, KTSM, remember KTSM? They're all controlled by the cartel because they're a protection racket. And that's why social media is a blessing, because then you have at least some chance of getting some real news, not manipulated news, not fake news, as President Trump calls it, fake news, where they are just attack dogs for those that want to expose their cartel terroristic organizations that are traffickers, right? Are traffickers. And part of that trafficking is the fuel theft, right? Is the fuel theft. And that's not me saying that. That's all the cases. Grupa Carvel getting caught stealing, siphoning billions of barrels of fuel from Pemex, from the Mexican people, making their lives hell, right? How much do they have to pay for tanking up in Mexico right now? Well, a lot of that is because of the fuel theft, right? And that fuel theft is connected to Iran. This is where the Iran Contra all came together, because Iran is so fuel rich, but their real, their money, is in hyperinflation, right? Hyperinflation. I think it's like way over. Someone tell me how many reals it takes for $1. It's just incredible. I think it's over 1 million. I think it's going so fast. Because of the hyperinflation, and but they're fuel rich, and so uh, trade for fuel, for drugs, for whatever else was trafficking, for weapons. And that's why, this is where Fort Bliss comes in. Weapons theft, right? The stealing of ammunition and weapons and grenades and equipment. All of that was being stolen and crossing the border, selling it to cartels for protecting their trafficking. It was a protection racket, which included, these arms deals, right? And so they are absolutely in cahoots this is the Iran-Contra, right? Iran-Contra, and the El Paso cartel um, is the protection racket that wanted to evolve. They just didn't want to be just a protection racket. They wanted control of all the fuel. And that's why they wanted El Mayo. They wanted the Maisa branch of the Sinaloa cartel to be under their thumb because they wanted control of the fuel. And so they got El Chapo, right? The Chapitos arm of the Sinaloa cartel. They got the CJNG. They got the Gulf cartel. They got, remember the Gulf cartel with the Miss Universe pageants and all of that, using that. And they got, the Juarez cartel and La Linea's, of course, the branch that is connected to Nova Casa Grandes. And of course, this is where the Mormon faction connection comes in. The Mormon faction is a huge part of the El Paso cartel, okay? A huge part of Mexican cartels. And of course, they are a huge part of the El Paso cartel. Like Connell Wenton is a very good example of that. Tavita Nusa is a good example of that. They, being an FBI agent, being part of the Mormon faction, loads of money. And of course, it's documented that the Mormon faction cartels, being from the Mormon colonies of Nova Casa Grandes area, which includes Colonial Juarez and Colonial Dublin, and of course Labrons area, and on, and going into Arizona then too. That's why you have this huge um, population in these areas of the Mormon faction. And you see that they are inserted into a large degree into the CIA and the FBI. And so if the CIA is doing unauthorized operations with Maru Campos, being the Chapitos arm of the Sinaloa cartel, that is not a surprise. That's not a surprise because um, the the intelligence agencies have been infiltrated. And that's how the El Paso cartel can get so much control because they can control the CIA and the FBI there in that area. They can control the El Paso intelligence community. And that's why Alejandro de la Vega, the double agent, absolutely double agent, um, is sitting on both governors' administrations in Chihuahua and in Texas, right? Could facilitate the treasonous treaty between Maru Campos and Texas Governor Greg Abbott, giving, illegally giving access to the cartels, um, federal intelligence databases, federal cases, and also the federal agents, being the CIA and the FBI. And they could give access to them. And some of those FBI agents, like Connell Wenton, were very happy with that because they were compromised. They were part of the El Paso cartel protection network. And for the Jeffrey Epstein pipeline, with many of the cartels already under their thumb, but they had to get El Mayo. And El Mayo, is he cartel? Yes. Is he a criminal? Yes. Did he need to be arrested? Yes. But Mexico was, you know, a narco state. And El Mayo was the godfather, the old guard with El Chapo. El Chapo sold out. clearly he was arrested, right? He was arrested. Maybe he didn't sell out, but his sons did, right? Because his father was arrested. Maybe they wanted to protect the father or get a deal for the father. I don't know. All I know is El Chapo's son participated in the betrayal of El Mayo. And, I'm not saying it's right or wrong or anything like that. I'm saying that El Chapo's son betrayed El Mayo. That's a fact. And it was an El Paso philanthropist plane that helped do it. Okay. And that is, they used the name of Governor Rocha, who, by the way, has stepped down now because of this indictment against him, which is a stunt, a decoy stunt, to cover up what's going on, that the El Paso cartel is being exposed through the CIA agents that were recently killed that were engaged in an unauthorized operation with the Maru Campos um, administration. So it's so they've known that um, the governors in Mexico are complicit. I'm not saying that Ruben Rocha Moya, his last name is Rocha Moya, okay? That's not a coincidence. Um, it's not that he's innocent, but it's the timing of it all. The timing of it shows that it's a stunt because, they don't care about accountability until they are driven to do it, and or they want to distract and pull a stunt, and a decoy stunt, I call it. So this is a distraction, a decoy stunt, and it has some teeth because he has now stepped down, right? He has resigned. I think the president of Mexico has been given this huge opportunity to really change the entire country now of Mexico and give back. I don't want to say all, because how can you get rid of all of that organized crime, in a day? But really start uh, giving the Mexican government some legitimacy back, some sovereignty back, which gives the people the sovereignty back. When the government is legitimate, then the people truly have a voice. And so, this is why this is so important what's going on. And this is why uh, what's going on in El Paso, and a good example is El Paso Inc. today, right? And then I'll get to the comments, but I have to stay focused. El Paso Inc., Reyes Mata, who, we have shared so much information with Reyes Mata, hoping that he would report on it. Seeing that in the past he has written some very powerful articles that I think did some good. And we thought that, but I think they got to him. I think they got to him. He has some unexplained wealth right now. And he is absolutely not the journalist that he used to be. And he came out with a puff piece on James Montoya, knowing that James Montoya is sitting there as a fake DA, absolutely botching every case in El Paso that he touches because he's sitting there with documents with a 2028 stamp. Hello, it's still 2026. Are they going to fake this out until 2028 and say, there, now we have the right date? Um, so what does this say? James Montoya James Bonneau Montoya is his proper name. That, I mean, he's so illegal in every which way. He's so illegal and so he is so much part of the El Paso cartel, or a agent of the El Paso cartel. Um, that the protection racket, because of course you want to put someone in there to control the cases, right? To control, and you don't want whistleblower Richard Halliday's case to that exposes the Walmart mass shooting, that exposes the El Paso cartel criminal network, and what they're doing on Fort Bliss. You don't want that, so you want someone in there that's going to bury all that, right? So of course, they stick him in there. They're protecting him, and now you have Reyes Mata aiding and abetting. I'm just waiting for President Trump to designate the El Paso cartel as a terroristic organization. He really need, and because they're in alliance with CJNG and in alliance with Sinaloa cartel, um, maybe, maybe he already is aiding and abetting a terroristic organization. This fallen from grace, Reyes Mata. I mean, he just fell down to hell, protecting um, this fake James Montoya that is absolutely protecting child trafficking, and you saw that in the um, Soroldi case, right? The sexual trafficking that he was protecting. You saw that he's protecting the killing of Julio Cordero. Where is the video? Where is the video? The El Paso ISD video? Because Julio Cordero was onto something, and we would like to see the video. And where is the video, the clear video from the El Paso Walmart mass shooting? And where is the videos, all the videos from Fort Bliss and El Paso and into Juarez of the murder and the trafficking of our son's remains for disposal? Um, don't tell me they don't have them, because we know that surveillance access was part of this deal. And surveillance access is nothing new. And so, there is the El Paso cartel that covers up the worst types of crimes and makes life hell for people. But if you are fallen from grace, you want your little vacations or your top shoes or watch for a short period of time, but you still have to answer. The accountability is coming, and so it's not worth it. It's not worth it. But I guess Reyes Mata, and he's deep in it now. He's deep in it with his wife now, and it's so sad to see him do a puff piece. This journalist that had so much potential did a puff piece on fake James Bonneau Montoya. I mean, really? Where everything he touches is botched, and he knows it. And he knows about the Maiella-Crusius. He knows about the 2028 stamp. He knows about the audio with Bill Hicks. He knew about, and you have to understand, Bill Hicks was the attorney for Purchase Funeral Homes, right? So, and Purchase Funeral Homes, a transnational funeral homes, absolutely connected to Plenitude Crematorium and the Rosa Maria Purchase Arellano Caron family. The Beto O'Rourke connection, the La Diabla connection, and all of that is connected to Alejandro de la Vega and Paul Foster and Woody Hunt. Um, you know, uh, the West Star Refinery, West Star Bank, um, all of that, the is the El Paso Cartel network, the El Paso Cartel network. So, and I hope that if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer it. So here it is. Thank you. God bless, and may his blood cover us and guide us in this war. Thank you so much. Um, Going to tell you Trump administration is corrupted. Look, uh, why is everybody splitting hairs? Why is everybody splitting hairs? Right? Um, I can tell you this, and because I've been reporting on Ted Cruz's, um, T- Ted Cruz is up to no good, and been reporting on Governor Abbott. Okay, both of those are so-called Republicans. Okay, um, whatever. It's not about left and right. I can tell you this about President Trump. His executive orders and his actions have been clearing out the cartel, has been drying up their money, has been shutting the doors on their trafficking pipelines. He's the one that's been doing it. And, you can whatever, but what happened in Iran now is just amazing, absolutely amazing. And he has left the infrastructure for the people. Um, do not think that the Iranian people are sovereign. They were under the control too. They're the gateway of China in this whole pipeline. Okay, when the ship was making the threatening remarks to our navy, that wasn't a Persian accent, y'all. That wasn't a Persian accent. And um, uh, it's all going to come out, and it's about oil, control of oil. China needs a lot of oil. Iran is rich with oil. Um, the poor Iranian people were captured. Were absolutely captured. And that's why this whole negotiation is so difficult, because they're under the thumb of China. They're under the thumb of China. And they have to, the leadership that was really um, in alliance with them is now gone, and they have to sort it all out, and they're not sorted yet. They're not sorted, but the pipeline is blocked. There's a blockade. And the big connection to our son's case and all of this is Nadal Tassin Baim. He's a connection. Just recently he tried to flee to Kuwait with $44,000 of stolen money. He's the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bradford Bugado in the G3 operations. Operations, y'all. That's the movement, the trafficking. His son was in G3 in our son's chain of command. And he knew all of this back then when we discovered who Nadal Beam was, that had access, that impersonated an FBI agent and had access to say that Richard's remains were disposed of in parts in Mexico. How did he know that on before October 26, 2020, right? And the FBI, who was already under the thumb of and part of the El Paso cartel, was saying to us, oh, he's a nobody. His partnerships and everything go right to the Strait of Hormuz, y'all. Go right to the Strait of. He's a Palestinian um, arms dealer. He's a Palestinian arms dealer. And it goes right straight from Fort Bliss to the Strait of Hormuz. And Fort Bliss, of course, was deployed to Qatar, which is right there, the Strait of Hormuz. And Richard said, "Oh my gosh, it is so bad, Mom. It is so bad, Dad. It is so bad here. The crime in my unit, the crime in my chain of command is so bad." Okay? That's the El Paso cartel. That's the El Paso cartel infiltrated in our military on Fort Bliss. That was deployed to Qatar. Think about that. And it's all about oil. They want to have control of Fort Bliss. They want to have control of the cartels because the cartels are part of Mexico. And they don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, Pan Party or Moreno Party. They don't care. They want to control you. They want to put you under their thumb. And they do it through, um, uh, hey, Governor Abbott, can I send you my plane to pick you up so you can come here and dine with us, fine dine with us with my friend, the CJNG cartel leader? Yeah, let's come on. And I will donate uh, to your campaign, right? Uh, that's how they do it. That's how they do it. That's how they turned Tony Gonzalez. Tony Gonzalez came out against Woody Hunt. The next thing you know, he was taking money from Woody Hunt. And then his life went to hell after that. And a person and his staff was killed by fire. I mean, my goodness, and she had a baby. I mean, she had not a baby, but a child. She had a child. And he got so low, got so corrupted that he's texting her sex messages and stuff, a married woman. And he's married with beautiful children, beautiful children. But you see, when you sell out, it gets very ugly. It turns you very ugly. It turns you very ugly. So let me see. No idea how many people are stranded with no roof. Perfect target for traffickers. Oh, absolutely. And they were creating them. They were creating vulnerable people through their businesses, through their industry, through their. This is what the cartel did. They had these big factories, and they would make it so lousy that people would get very vulnerable. You had vulnerable pregnant women that would need a shelter, and then they would just. It was just terrible. They created the vulnerabilities in the people and took advantage, exploited them, and they still do. And that's why this whole migrant thing was such a problem, because if you're in a country illegally, you can be exploited so easy. Someone can blackmail you. I'm going to tell that you're using a fake social security number. I'm going to tell that you're illegal. I'm going to call ICE on you. And look at Soroldi. He required sex from them, the Cuban women, right? And then what does Montoya call them? Prostitutes. They're not prostitutes. They were trafficked, vulnerable women that were being exploited. That's what they were. And look at Montoya. He's so gross. He's so uh, he's so disgusting. And you've got Reyes Mata of El Paso Inc. now writing a puff piece for him. Wow. Yeah, it's just pretty bad. Rocha Moya. Well, Rocha Moya, is El Mayo guilty? Is El Chapo guilty? Were these CJNG, El La Diabla guilty? Yeah, uh, a- absolutely. Mexico was a cartel run country. What's going on right now is challenging that. Challenging that. For the first time, there is actual progress in challenging and getting back Mexico for the Mexican people. And so here we are saying, absolutely understand what's going on. Did Ruben Rocha need to step down? Absolutely. He was indicted. But why didn't they do that a long time ago? He's been in office. Did you look at him? He's not a young man. He's been doing this for a long time. And finally, it's the timing of it. The timing of it. Because the timing of it is now when proof is coming out that Alejandro de la Vega is a double agent. That's who they're protecting now. That's who they want to divert your attention from. They want your attention to be on Ruben Rocha, who we've all known for a long time has been, down there in Sinaloa, for decades. And now you've got New York, where they took El Mayo, allies of Maru Campos and Alejandro de la Vega, putting this decoy stunt to take your eyes off of Alejandro de la Vega, the double agent that facilitated the treasonous treaty between Maru Campos and Governor Abbott of Texas. That is where our focus needs to be. And that is really the domino that is going to reveal Paul Foster and Woody Hunt and Beto O'Rourke and the whole billionaire protection racket of the Jeffrey Epstein pipeline. That's why you saw a puff piece on Alejandro de la Vega come out. That's why you see this puff piece on James Bonneau Montoya. Next, are they going to do a puff piece on Connell Wetton? Are they going to do a puff piece on Jaime Esparza, or while he's not in office anymore? But who next? Who next are they going to do a puff piece on? Delia Briones, the one that stamped the 2028 stamp, and covered. Or are they going to do a puff piece on Governor Abbott or Ted Cruz or Veronica Escobar's husband, the immigration judge? Or are they going to do the puff piece on Eric Pearson? Eric Pearson, the CEO, KTSM guy of El Paso Community Foundation that had a deal with Stanton Street, Beto O'Rourke with KTSM, where Danae Katzen led us to KTSM. And here she is a fugitive. So, yeah, it's the network is being exposed. And all of a sudden they come up with Ruben Rocha was involved in drug trafficking. Okay. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Okay. But let's keep our eye on Alejandro de la Vega, who wanted to take over control of the entire fuel network, fuel pipeline of Mexico. West Star Refinery. Rafael Ariano Curon, the owner of Plenitude Crematorium, but don't forget, also Arco Oil and Gas. And no matter what we believe, we know that we need oil and gas to survive. We could always say no to drugs, but we need oil and gas to survive. Yes. I think President Trump is in Mexico. Okay? He is in Mexico because of the tariffs. And we received from social media, and I put that out there because I want to hear from more sources that President Scheinbaum has opened the door to the DEA in Mexico. So, um, you know, y- President Trump is giving Mexico the tools needed to do it themselves, which is beautiful because he shut down Iran, that pipeline. He shut down Maduro, that fuel theft. That was a lot of fuel theft, y'all. He got control of Puerto Rico, which is right there where Little St. James is. He absolutely turned off the spigot of Cuba. Um, he arrested people in the Dominican Republic for the fake visas, arrested people for the Cuban sex trafficking network. Hundreds of cartel leaders have been extradited, and those leaders have been key, like people that did finances and bookkeeping and things like that. Okay, La Diabla was not extradited, but he stopped that, but it absolutely showed the organ harvesting, right, and the adoptions, the baby harvesting and the adoptions, and that despicable network. So yeah, um, he's not giving them any choice but to address the cartels. He's weakening the cartels so much. And of course, El Mayo has been singing because El Mayo, he was betrayed. You think that El Mayo got where he was by just forgetting and forgiving? I don't think so. I don't think he's too happy with being betrayed. And whose plane was it that flew him to El Paso? El Paso cartel, who took him to the FBI Connell Wetton field office and illegally arrested him. And why do I say illegally? Because they didn't have an extradition order. There was no extradition order. So this is what the cartel thinks that they can do. This is what the El Paso cartel thinks they can do. That they don't have to obey international law, international flight regulations, that because they tampered with the flight logs, with I think the pilot didn't even have a license anymore, and the plane numbers, they tampered with that all. So um, that's what they think that they can do. And then with Rocha, Scheinbaum came out and said, because the indictment was to extradite him. You have to go through an extradition process to get the paperwork. They never did that for El Mayo. You think he's going to forgive that? Because, the people that betrayed him are there in El Paso. And, it looks like it's the El Paso cartel that betrayed him. So, okay, everyone. I hope you have a great Sunday. And we just want to say thank you so much for all the sharing and coming on so late. It's just been amazing what is being exposed, all the pieces coming together. And now you know why when Richard was in that key spot on Fort Bliss in the very unit that was the El Paso cartel operatives, right? What he saw in Qatar, um, all of the trafficking and reporting it all. Why his reports triggered investigations and audits, and why that was so dangerous because you're talking about a multi billion-dollar trafficking network that he was exposing and exposing the El Paso cartel that no one even knew existed. They didn't even know it was existed. And when the media came out with Jeffrey Epstein, they didn't really talk about Zorro Ranch at all. That sits at the tip of White Sands Missile Range, secured airspace, restricted airspace, giving them that restricted airspace to work in. No, they focused on the island. But the big area operation was Zorro Ranch. So yeah, it's all coming together, and the way this gets out and goes faster is you sharing. We don't monetize. We are doing this so we get our son's remains and get accountability. And so please, um, share to get, and if you speak Spanish, God bless you. Translate this into Spanish. Um, Parts of it that you know is really important and that um, will reach out to people, and then be very patient with people. We've had to be very patient these 6 years because people, it has to sink in. It has to sink in what has happened. And so keep talking, keep sharing, and things start clicking and people start getting it and it starts sinking in and they put two and two together, and it's all in God's timing. And so your sharing is the best thing ever, and it's really the only thing we ask is for everyone to share this information. So thank you so much. God bless you, and